Over the last 2 weeks, I started getting hate emails from people going, David, your show's going to end now because you're not going to get that USAID money anymore. And I didn't know where this was coming from because, of course, we've never gotten money from USAID or any nonprofit that could be indirectly connected. We know our advertisers. They're just for-profit companies.
I have a question for you and for everybody who's listening, or I should say I have a tip, I suppose. We know for a fact that there are many popular liberal podcasts that run nonprofits or have nonprofits buying ad spots.
In this video, David Pakman exposes Tim Pool and her right-wingers lies in a 2v1. So Tim Pool and Milo decide to push this bizarre conspiracy that left-wing podcasts, especially David Pakman's, are secretly funded by the government through USAID. They throw out really vague accusations and pretend that they have some insider tip, and basically try to make it seem like Pakman is being propped up by some shady non-profits. But as soon as the conversation takes a turn when Milo starts pointing fingers at Tim's own connection to Russian money, things just get awkward really fast. So make sure to watch till the end to see how David Pakman exposes Tim Pool and her right-wingers lies in the 2v1.
Now, there are many liberal podcasts that run nonprofits or have nonprofits buying ad spots. Maybe that's true. I would love to know which nonprofits. He hasn't said it here. Now here Milo gets a little bit sort of like ad hominem where he goes, there are no big left-wing podcasts, not David Pakman.
But he's listening, or I should say I have a tip, I suppose. We know for a fact that there are many popular liberal podcasts that run nonprofits or have nonprofits buying ad spots.
There are any popular liberal podcasts.
Whatever you want to call it.
We're going to find out.
There are,
Look, remember David Pakman after the election.
So Milo says there are no big liberal podcasts. Remember David Pakman after the election. Now, of course, what he's referring to is the fact that for 36 hours after the election, we lost subscribers. And it's funny because it's been months since that. We're at almost 3 million. It's, you know, they keep going with this thing. The left has lost all of its following. If you just looked at the number of subscribers we had on November 6th, and now we're almost at 3 million, you would know that that was like a 36-hour phenomenon. But okay, so anyway, let's continue.
So let me, this point I'm making is that who is funding these shows and how are they being propped up? One, obviously YouTube is propping them up, despite the fact they're clearly not popular as we just saw the results of the election.
Okay, Tim's argument is these shows like mine only get views on YouTube despite the unpopularity of our ideas because we lost the election, because YouTube is algorithmically propping them up. Couple things to say on that. Number one, most people who voted for someone other than Trump. So if the idea is that YouTube audience is directly reflective of the percentage of the American population that approves of what you're saying, more people voted for something other than Trump. So there's no real concern there. I mean, yes, Trump won electorally. I haven't denied that for a moment, but a majority of voters that voted did not vote for Trump. The idea that YouTube is propping us up algorithmically, if anything, it seems to be the opposite. And I actually think that it's in general, YouTube is not propping up news and politics generically.
Alright, so Tim Pool just starts off with this vague, totally evidence-free claim that many liberal podcasts are somehow running nonprofits or are having nonprofits buy ad space to secretly fund them. But then he doesn't name a single one. No proof. Just throwing out a talking point and hoping it sticks. Then Milo just jumps in, going straight to bad faith nonsense, claiming that there aren't even any big left-wing podcasts. Except, of course, he immediately contradicts himself by bringing up David Pakman, one of the biggest. And their whole angle here is to push this made-up narrative that left-wing media isn't actually popular, but instead is secretly being propped up by government-backed NGOs. Tim and Milo just aren't interested in facts. They're just trying to create this phony narrative that progressive media is somehow illegitimate while ignoring how their own side is literally filled with billionaires funding propaganda outlets. And David Pakman, he's just getting ready to start dismantling their nonsense.
But okay, let's continue.
However, we do know that many of them sell ad space to powerful nonprofits. I believe that if you track the government spending through these nonprofits, you will find it goes from government to NGO into the hands of liberal pundits.
David Pakman.
Now, the word is pundits, not pundits. It's a made-up word, pundit. I dare you, look it up, doesn't exist. It's a pundit. And then Milo says David Pakman. Now, you know, this to me is very clearly they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar getting money from Russia. I'm not alleging Tim knew. I don't know. You know, he says he didn't know. He says he did hardcore due diligence and he didn't know. He insists that what he was offered was market rate. I can tell you as someone the information is public, right? This is not like a bragging thing. It's just my channel gets more views than Tim's. I can assure you that what he was offered was not market rate. It would be awesome if it was. I would say to Tim, congratulations, because then my market rate would be even higher. But this isn't the market rate. Now, in order to say the other side does it too, they are saying, they get money from USAID. It goes from government, USAID, a nonprofit, and then into the David Pakman show, even maybe through a brand. Now, you don't actually have to make this claim, because there are content creators on the left who over the last 10 years were getting money, for example, from state media in Venezuela and from other left-wing authoritarian regimes. So you don't even have to go and say, David Pakman's probably, we're not. And you can find examples of people that were. You don't have to do this. But when I look, for example, at today's advertisers, Ground News, it's just a news analysis website.
Pause. Are you getting tired of getting news from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite? How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where Ground News comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, whether it's left, right, or center, are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get a 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights in media bias and political trends. So stay informed, think for yourself, and check out Ground News in the description down below.
It has nothing to do with a nonprofit. It has nothing to do with USAID. Naked Wines. It's a company that does wine shipped to your door. It has no connection to nonprofits. It has no connection to USAID. You may like the product. You may not like the product. Congratulations. It just doesn't. What's another advertiser today? MD Hearing. They make hearing aids. They sell hearing aids. It's a for-profit company. There's no connection to a nonprofit. There's no connection to USAID. I would challenge Milo, who says David Pakman. I would challenge him to find a specific example of a company that's advertising with us that is connected to shadowy nonprofits or USAID.
Now he might not even know, and that's the important thing.
Oh, yeah.
Now they're talking about me. I might not know.
Well,
No. Let me. This is important. You can accuse him of knowing. You can accuse him of intentionally taking money. My point is this.
I would never accuse David Pakman of knowing anything.
Sure. There very well
Isn't that funny?
may be.
That was coming.
There very well may be individuals who their ad person comes to them and says, "This NGO wants to spend $100,000 in ads on your show," and they say,
Yeah, we've never had an NGO come to us.
That conservative thing of giving too much credit.
"No, I'm saying in general, big picture."
No, they know exactly where the money's coming from. Dave Rubin knew where the money was coming from when it was coming from Russia. He used it to buy his children.
Now, this is where Tim and Milo completely fumble. Tim keeps pushing this nonsense about USAID money secretly funding left-wing media, but still doesn't name a single example. Then Milo, trying to be slick, just drops Pakman's name like that proves anything. David Pakman just immediately calls out how stupid this is. He literally lists his sponsors: Ground News, Naked Wines, MD Hearing, actual businesses selling products. No shady NGOs, no government ties, just normal ads. But then Milo randomly throws Tim under the bus, bringing up Dave Rubin knowingly taking Russian money.
So now Milo has stepped in it because he says Dave Rubin knew he was getting Russian money. And of course, Tim Pool got money from the same place. And now Tim Pool's going to get very defensive.
That is 100% false. And you know that ropes me into it, and I can verify it's 100% false.
All right.
Completely untrue.
It is so,
and this is important big picture stuff because USAID is funneling money into NGOs.
It's irresponsible in the extreme to the point of ludicrous negligence to not know where hundreds of thousands of dollars are coming from. To not even ask.
And that's not the story at all. So if you knew what you're talking about, maybe it sounds smarter.
All right. So now they just argue with each other about Tim Pool taking Russian influencer money. It's funny how they were all having a good time dunking on me over made up claims, but now all of a sudden it gets a little tense. Listen, just give me an example, right? I would be glad to track down the provenance of any ad dollar that's coming in. Of course, we're primarily supported by audience membership, so it's just individual people. So it's like you kind of have to ask yourself, oh, I'm a member. Did that money come through USAID and some shadowy nonprofit or NGO? Of course it didn't. But I think this is them trying to just say, oh, the left is doing the exact same thing, and they're grasping at straws. Of course, it isn't happening.
So wrapping this up, what did we actually see? Tim and Milo just pushed a completely baseless conspiracy about Pakman getting USAID money, throwing out vague claims with zero proof. But the second Milo accidentally exposed Tim's own connection to Russians' money, everything just fell apart. Tim went from confidently spreading nonsense to full panic mode, desperately trying to shut it down. And that right there proves the point. These guys don't actually care about funding transparency or following the money. They just throw out bad faith attacks on left-wing creators while pretending their own side is totally clean. And the irony of this is that these guys were all in when making up conspiracy theories about left-wing creators. But the second the same logic is turned on them, they just start falling apart. Anyways, if you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and comment your thoughts down below.